I would like to present this year's Robert Morris Empowerment Award recipient, Mr. Tyrone Wynn.
Well, this is lovely. This is lovely. I would just like to say thank you to Awali, first off. When I came to Awali, which was nothing but all men, is I didn't know what to expect. We had empowerment 2 hours a day, and we had to deal with some issues that's not really dealt with on the other part of Twin Cities Rise because it was all men, so we was able to, engage each other in a fashion that, we can't at regular Twin Cities Rise. So I began to learn what, core hurts was. Like I said, I came to Twin Cities Rise strictly to get my GED. But as I began going through the program, I realized that I was a hurt person. I realized that I didn't know what core hurts was, but I began to realize and see that I was hurt. I was really hurting. And as I began to go through the program, and when I first had to stand up and say, I am important, valuable, and lovable, it was weird because these was not things that I was saying to myself. And so the more I began to say it, the more I began to believe it. And the more I began to act upon it. And I went through a paradigm shift. That's what Mr. Barker always called it. We go through a paradigm shift, which means you go through a change of beliefs. And instead of seeing myself as not worthy and not valuable and not important, I really began to see myself as important. And when I began to see myself important, I began to I felt different about myself. My outlook was a whole lot better. And so I think these empowerment classes and the empowerment course is very, very valuable. Because once you get to see that you're hurting, you begin to understand why you're hurting. And then you don't blame everybody else for the pain that you're going through. When you understand that, okay, this is me, this is something that's inside of me, this is something that I have to deal with, you stop putting the blame and you begin to take responsibility for your own actions. And you begin to take responsibility for how you feel. And once you begin to do that, you change. It's like a light bulb comes on. Once I began to do that, like I thought, before I became empowered, and before I understood what core hurts was, and weak mode, and power mode, and self-affirmations, I felt like everybody was against me. And that's because I was against myself. But because I was against myself, I couldn't see nobody else for me. I wouldn't go to my family for help. I had no place to sleep. I used to walk through the bus stop downtown Minneapolis, through the Skyway, all night long, stop at one spot till I got tired of sitting there, go sit in another spot, and still go to Twin Cities Rise. Because I knew I needed this. And to anybody that's if you're thinking about it, if you want to know more about empowerment, I encourage you to check it out. Look, since the time I went through Twin Cities Rise, when I went through Twin Cities Rise, I was homeless. I'd be at the shelter. I'd be at the bus stop. I was sleeping in the tool shed at my sister's house. In the middle of winter, January. And now, since I've went through the program and I learned about my core hurts and I learned about my core values, I live in a house. I have my son living with me, and I'm married. So I encourage you, if you don't know anything about empowerment, if you don't know anything about core hurts, if you don't know anything about core values, learn about it. If you feel like everybody is against you, look in the mirror. You know, we always say the word is that you are your own worst enemy, and it's very true. I learned to take control of my life and stop giving control to everybody else. I learned to take control over how I feel and what I think and what I say, instead of letting everybody else govern what I think and how I feel. I am master of myself. And saying all that, there is just one thing else I have to say, and I know it might not be the right forum for it, but hallelujah. I made it.
I just want to say thank you to the Twin City Rise staff, organization. I don't know how it all goes together, but I tell you, you have got an organization here that is helping people tremendously, helping to turn the lives of people around. Like me, I ain't gonna go into it, but when I used to just look up at the sign and walk by up there on Lexington. And one day I walked in to see, and I inquired, what do y'all do in here? And I found out what they did. And I thank the Lord that I went in to inquire. Listen, my life has been turned around, and I thank you. The staff is wonderful. I meant what I said. From the time you walk in the doors of Twin City Rise, you are supported. From the time you walk in to the time you have taken your final placement and your 1-year retention, the support that you get from the staff, from your coaches, from your instructors, from your fellow participants is just amazing. And we could not do this. I heard so many stories up here tonight about how I've lost my house, I've lost my car, I've lost this, I've lost that, I didn't have this, I almost gave up. But I'm here to tell you, you did not give up. Because when you walked in those doors, there was something pushing you and holding your hand. There was oh my God, the spirit of unity. I'm just excited. But I just really, really, hallelujah, thank Twin City Rise,